I've been dying to do this show.
Oh yeah, this show is gonna be killer.
Are you two ready to take some pictures?
There's only one thing that we love more than eating food with chopsticks, and that's photography.
All right, so if you guys remember our very first Panoptic Chopstick show, we talked about what?
Niche photography.
That's right.
So.
Niche photography just means that specialized type of photography, something that maybe nobody else does or people haven't heard of. We talked about underwater swimming pool photography.
And I'm excited about today's show because...
Well, you've been dying to get to this show.
A lot of people have been dying to get to this show.
Yes. So we have here Mark Batts. Now, he's got the same last name as I do for a very good reason. He's actually my brother.
That's right.
He's my brother. And he's got a unique type of photography that he's into. He's got his own little niche. And he's actually really well regarded on Instagram. He's got a great following on Instagram for his niche. And you can see where we're standing today. We're standing in a cemetery. And you guys are probably right now going, this is pretty creepy. This is kind of weird. And Mark is not a creepy guy. If you ever get to know him, you'll know that he is not a creeper. But he takes pictures in cemeteries, which does sound a little creepy. I mean, like how in the world did you get started in taking pictures in cemeteries, and why do you do it?
Right. Well, I think a lot of people do think that it is kind of creepy taking pictures of cemeteries, and it's kind of a weird place to be taking pictures. But instead of looking at it like you're taking pictures of all this death around you, I try to look at it as you're taking pictures of life. A lot of people have on their tombstones gone, but never lost or never forgotten. But you know, a lot of people are forgotten, and this is a way just to be able to remember these people that are here that are long forgotten. They don't have any family left. They don't have anything. You can learn a lot about them. You can learn about their religion, about their job, about their culture, just by looking at the different kind of tombstones that they have. You can get good textures. There's a whole lot of, and just the beauty of the place. It's always very peaceful. It's a really, really neat place to be able to.
It's really all about the history, right? I mean, you've always been kind of a history buff, right? And anytime when we were younger, you're always like wanting to know the hows and whys of historical things, and that's I think maybe what attracts you to that. But I think that's a good thing. Now, one of the things that's very interesting about you that's different than Mark and I shoot all of our photography with DSLR cameras, mirrorless cameras. You shoot with what? You shoot with something
totally different. Just with my iPhone.
100% iPhone. So Mark is a smartphone photographer.
Correct.
That's all he shoots with. And it's funny because Mark and I often kind of make fun of smartphone photographers, but we're learning that that's really not the case
real
anymore.
Photography.
It is totally really photography. And when I show you the pictures that Mark takes, like
they blow me away, the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a great eye. Knows texture, color, composition, but just what he's able to get out of that phone is pretty incredible. I mean, do you feel like maybe gives you a freedom that you don't have?
Yeah, I think it's always with you. I always have my phone with me, so it's very portable. You can take it with you anywhere. New smartphones take great pictures; they really do. A lot of it is post-processing as well, and so you can take a great picture. You can have a $2,000 camera, but not be able to take a picture. But if you just have an iPhone, any sort of smartphone, you can take a great picture.
And you do all your editing right on your phone too, right?
Just on my phone, everything is done on my phone.
Is there a specific app that you use to do editing? Or?
Yeah, I use Snapseed a lot, and so that's a really good app
by Google. Used to be Nick software, but it's a great one.
Yeah, that's a really good. I almost use that exclusively. It's the easiest to use. It lets you do all the different editing that you'll really ever need for your photos.
Cool. Yeah. So it's cool. I totally get the appeal of taking pictures of the cemetery. Like as a kid, I remember going to a place like Virginia City, and my favorite things were going to Boot Hill and reading what, this guy got shot, in a bar fight, or, again, this guy's got 20 children that's remembering him. Really cool stuff. But here's always my thing is, you don't always have great light in a cemetery. It is very difficult to take a good shot. I think that I've probably taken like 2 shots in a cemetery my whole life that I thought were good. I think it'd be cool if we kind of walked around a little bit and maybe got some of Mark's insights on how he approaches looking for a good shot within a cemetery.
Absolutely, let's do that.
Okay. Well, here's another really good example of one thing that I would look for when I come to a cemetery. You've got great texture in this. You've got a nice statue of this angel right here. The lighting might not be the best for my particular situation. I usually like to have some sort of a blue background with some clouds that I can use a nice black and white photo for. But in general, this is really great this is also a good example of good history. You have the picture of the person who's passed away right here on it, so you can actually see who this is. And also, like I was talking about before, gone but not forgotten is written there. This person's obviously been remembered because they have flowers, but a lot of times people aren't, and it's really an honor to be able to remember who they are and what they stood for. For me, I usually would get some detail of the face, and I would try to have the come from low and looking high, having the statue kind of looking at me.
So you said something interesting before, right? You're like, I always try to get where they're almost looking at you.
Correct.
That's an interesting thing. Can you talk about that? Like what?
Yeah, I think it really adds something. If you can feel like this statue is staring at you, you get eye contact, you get...
It's kind of when they go, hey, a statue?
And that's why you use the phone.
That's right,
Hello,
yes.
statue.
So yeah, it really adds something to me. It really adds a personal touch. It really adds a bit of oomph to it.
It did. I just looked at my camera from down below. It totally changed it.
Right.
So yeah,
From
we're just
here.
goofing, right? We were like, fighting with each other for the shot. But here was my shot, right? I took that.
Yeah.
It wasn't very interesting when I look back on the shot. And then when you got that shot,
Yeah.
I mean that's like pretty cool.
Yeah.
It changed the whole perspective.
It went from statue to now this ominous being looking down at you.
right. Now when you're shooting something like this, I mean, is this ideal? Like the location that we're in?
It's a nice location. It's very pretty. Sometimes for the iPhone it gets a little dark. You can lighten it up a little bit later, but you don't want it too bright either. Too bright will wash out everything and get too much lens flare. So, but yeah, it's actually not bad when you're looking at it. So I think the most important things for me are coming from the bottom up, looking at it that way. Getting a nice tight shot is always good as well.
Do you normally include like writing and things in it?
It depends. Sometimes I try to keep the name out of it just for respect of the family and the person. I don't want them to end up going, wow, why are you taking a picture of my grandma's grave? So sometimes I try to avoid that a little bit. Sometimes it's adds part of the flavor to it though, and I do include that, but a lot of times I try to avoid that a little bit.
All right. How about we take a walk? I see some cool stuff out this way.
Yeah, down there.
Let's
Some
go
nice
look
stuff
over
as
there.
well.
So hey Mark, tell us, I'm noticing these symbols on these headstones.
Yeah.
Like what is that all about? So this one here.
Correct. Yeah. So this is another part of learning the history of graveyards here. This one over here would be a good example of a Masonic symbol. So this man here was part of the Freemasons at one time. So often they'll incorporate their symbol in here. Typically would have a G right in the middle, which would stand for God in geometry. And so that's why the compass point and the square are listed there. You come over to this one here, and you can tell
I haven't seen this one. What is this?
This woman, so DOE is surrounding it. That's the Daughters of the Eastern Star. It's like the female version of the Masons. It's usually the wife of the Masonic husband.
Okay.
Belongs to the Daughter of the Eastern Star. And so yeah, there's a lot of interesting history around that.
Very cool.
For people who are interested kind of more abstracty, a lot of times things like this, you can come over to this one. You got this foot here, which normally you wouldn't think of, but it actually turns out to be kind of a cool picture if you turn that into a
picture.
Yeah, fetish picture. You turn that into a black and white or a sepia tone and add a little bit of editing to it. That can actually look pretty cool sometimes.
A little bit of foot softener.
Yeah, foot softener. All right, Steve and Mark, I was just looking at this one here, and this is kind of an example of a unique statue that you don't see all that often. It still probably is mass-produced, but it's a little bit different. It's kind of delicate looking. You have the statue dropping this flower here. You can kind of see your hand position, which is really delicate. For some reason, the family chose to do this kind of image here for whatever reason, and it's kind of interesting to just think back about what could that reason be. Why did they choose this photo? What was their thought behind it? So many years ago in 1951, almost 70 years ago, why did they choose this particular statue?
So like when you're walking down the aisles here, Mark, and you come across something like this, like what is the first thing that attracts you to this as an image? Like what would you look for? Would you look at the detail? Would you look at it as a whole?
I look kind of as a whole. I take a look at for me photographing, I'm taking a look kind of at the background, and I usually do look at the eyes because that's what's kind of attractive to me, is taking a look at the eyes there, and then you can focus a little more on the detail as well. But if you can get kind of the face, but include the detail in it of the hands, that makes a really interesting shot as well.
Cool.
So how about something like this? There's a small little statue. What can we do with it?
Well, sometimes from a distance I'd come up and I'd say, this is kind of a common statue. It's mass produced. You see the same statue all over the place. But then you look at some more of the details and you see, look, it's missing a hand. That kind of adds something to it. Also, you can turn this small statue into something that looks like a whole lot bigger by just getting up close, getting down. You can get that one into view. And this will look like quite a big statue that you can take a picture of, and so you can really take that perspective and bring it home with a small statue that will look pretty large.
So Mark, tell us about this tombstone here. I think it's actually kind of interesting, even though it's kind of plain looking.
Yeah, this is really actually kind of an interesting one that you don't see too often, but it actually does represent quite a bit here. You've got this water feature on this one here. That this actually shows the man's history, where he came from.
I see.
Yeah, this was kind of a sailor situation here. You can tell how this comes up like this to be almost a wave in the blue color to represent the way of the river as it goes down. I
think you're really stretching.
All right, Mark, that was pretty fun. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us and
welcome.
showing us a brand new niche that we were not super familiar with, but I know most of our viewers aren't familiar with it all.
I'm looking forward to finding some cemeteries now.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
So basically, I want you guys to go out there and look for the unique, right? This is something that most people don't think of doing, but man, I just loved walking around, finding out the history and reading the names and all that stuff. It was fun. And thanks for your input on just what some of these symbolism means. I thought it was really cool. So
you're welcome.
Great segment.
I got the better picture.
Oh, we're back on. I can't believe what great photos we got.
That was kind of fun.
It was. I didn't think that
actually
I
a little
would
weird,
enjoy it
but kind of fun.
that much. So yeah, but I really did enjoy it.
No, honestly, there was some really cool tips in that.
Yeah,
but,
I would have never thought to look up into the eyes of a statue. That just changed. That just changed everything. The look of my photos from what I had done before Mark arrived, we were just kind of playing around till after him giving us that tip. Unbelievable. I'm like looking forward to finding a cemetery. That sounds kind of weird.
It is. But no, it was fun. It was fun.
It's now time for Fortunate Questions with the Chopstick Guys.
All right.
I'm excited to be back in the studio after a couple weeks of absence.
We got some fresh cookies.
Yep, but I have forgotten how to actually pick them up. You can see all that time at camp.
Oh! That was close.
I've lost my way of using my chopsticks.
All right, what do we got? I'm excited about this question.
You know what? I think it's your turn to read the question, so I'm going to eat the cookie while you read the question.
I'm scared this is going to...
Just pull it. There you go.
Marcia from Clovis.
Marcia.
I was just going to say that. It's a pretty short question, actually. It just says, how do you guys find your photo locations? Good question.
It's a great question.
You know how we find it? You go out and find it. I mean, that sounds kind of simple, but it really comes down to just going out and you just drive around.
How far did you drive last weekend?
I don't want to say, because I drove 170 miles trying to find the right photo location, which we finally found about 7 minutes from my house.
Yeah, so it didn't take it, but that's how you find it.
Yep.
It's perfect timing because just a couple days ago, last week, I guess it was, that's our friend Robert Trawick. He's also an interfit professional. He's got a blog, or not a blog, but it's a
podcast.
Podcast.
A really good one.
Yeah, and it's called Photo Facts, but it's all with F's, F-O-T-O-F-A-C-T. We'll put the link in the description below. Kind of fun to listen to. Him and Ray Casada, they do this podcast. And he was just talking about this, the fact that so often he's been seeing on Facebook these young photographers posting like, I have a family of 20 and I need to take their picture with red flowers behind a barn. Can anybody tell me where that is? You know, his whole thing was, get out there and find your own location.
Go do it yourself.
So, yeah, and again, I think he even said he loves helping people. We love helping people. And I tell friends lots of times the locations. But, boy, just getting out there and finding it yourself.
You have to.
You've got to do it.
Because only you know what you're looking for, right? You have in your kind of your mind's eye exactly what that picture's going to look like.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, I'm looking for that red barn, but you know.
This is where it comes in. We did a small bite, a couple of months ago. When you get to a location, take pictures. Anytime you go by a location, because there's a lot of times where you'll go, oh, that barn's going to be perfect. But if you're not remembering where the sun is, you might show up there at 6 o'clock in the evening and it's just bright sunlight. You were going, oh yeah, I thought it was that great barn. You got to get out there and.
So really, it comes down to you doing the work. I mean, don't rely on somebody else doing it. It's all up to you because you know what that shot's going to look like. But good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you, Marcia. And as always, go ahead and send in your questions. You can enter them right in the comments section below. If we pick your question, we will have Jack, our intern, actually stuff it into a fortune cookie each week. And we will see if we can read your question right here on air. Thanks for the question, Marcia.
Hoi! Talking raw. Talking raw.
Well, look at what showed up on the table. We have got some sushi from one of my favorite sushi places, provided by Makuni's. And in fact, we are using the fresh chopsticks today.
From Makuni's.
But you know, since you're doing a little bit of talking raw here, guess who gets to eat this?
I know. I am not looking forward to having to show this today because if I stick one of these pieces in my mouth, which I'll have to wait until I'm
You'll
done.
have to. Don't
I won't even be
tempted.
able. I will be tempted, and then I'll want to eat more.
So what do we got here today?
So if you watched our episode a couple weeks ago, you know that we've been up at a camp.
Yes,
and
we
while
have.
we were at that camp, we were able to play with a brand new product from Interfit called the Honey Badger.
Really cool new product.
Yes, yeah, these are really cool lights. But we took a really interesting shot. Actually, you took the shot. I helped you set it up there, and I was doing the filming that night. But we ended up with this great shot. We wanted to get our friend Celeste, who's a singer-songwriter, a great picture of her. So we thought, let's make it look like she's singing around the campfire. And how did we do that? Well, we took her, and we took a Honey Badger light, which had no... You know, what's that thing? You know, this is that universal sign for soft box.
Softbox, yes.
Right, we took everything off, bare bulb, set it where the campfire should have been, and then we took this shot. So let's dive in. What we're going to do is I'm just going to show you really quickly, this is not going to be in depth, on how we created this final image. Coming back into Photoshop now, the first thing I'm going to do is I have a fire right here. You can see fires get ready to get put into the image. And back to our image. So one of the things, the first thing I did before I brought the fire into it was, see these foreground rocks? I used my pen tool, and if you remember from a few weeks ago when I showed you how to use the pen tool, I clicked and I drug out to where I wanted to go, and I let go. I drug to where I wanted to go, and I'd let go and click, and I drag, and so on and so forth. What I did is I'm just going to go ahead and back up, and I'm going to get rid of what I just did there. I actually loaded this up here, so I'll go to Select, Load Selection. I have this selection already loaded. I already went out and pen tooled the rocks out, so you don't have to watch me pen tool the rocks out. Let's grab our fire now. I am going to use my V, hit V for Move tool. I'm going to drag my fire right over that image and release it there. And it's dropping it right inside. Cool. So, go back to my layers panel here.
Now I can guarantee when we did this picture,
Yeah.
I mean, when we took it, people would think that we really have fire.
Exactly, exactly. So I dropped this fire in just, you know, somewhere close. Doesn't have to be perfect right here. I am going to go ahead and put a mask on there. All right, you can see as I put the mask on there now, those foreground rocks appear. This is when I'm going to use my blending mode up here where it says normal. I'm just going to set this to something like screen. Mm-hmm. And you'll see how anywhere that's dark, it doesn't apply it to it. So that's what's going to do. My fire, I didn't really like how the fire sits there. So I'm going to go Control T. That's the same as going Image, Free Transform. So in my Free Transform tool now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to squish that fire down. But before I do that, I'm going to unlink my mask so that my mask stays where it needs to stay. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and unlink my mask. And now when I grab my fire, the mask stays in place, and I'm just going to
squish that fire.
There we go. So that fire, you know, if it was that big, it would have been cooking her. So we actually just want this down here. I'm going to say Enter. Now with my mask, anywhere that it kind of spilled over where it shouldn't be, you know, I can just come in here.
Just erase it.
And erase it all. And
voila.
We got a fire there.
fire.
One of the other things that I had done just really quickly here is I grabbed a foreground color, something that looked kind of orangey, fire-ish. Matter of fact, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to, in my brush, hold my Alt key, and I'm going to grab a color right out of that fire. There's a nice orange color. And I'm going to go ahead and put a solid color with that yellow-orange color on there. And then I will set my blending mode to color, which changes, makes everything kind of that
Orangey,
ugly orangey color there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invert my mask, which basically says don't show anything. Then I'm going to use a really big brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and set my opacity down to 20. If you just hit a number on your keyboard, if you're in a tool like a brush, it automatically changes the opacity of that.
I want to know
that one. So
Good tip.
there we go. I'm just going to click around a couple times on there, 20%. What I'm trying to do is just kind of give that, you know, that cast, golden cast to everything. It's kind of the color of that. And, you know, again, this is not some great way to do it. I cleaned it up a lot more. But
Well, it looks awesome.
Those are kind of just the way I had done it.
Yep.
Spent probably 30 minutes trying to figure that out. But when all was said and done, it looked like this image right here.
Hey guys, where did you go?
Hey, we're right here.
Right here. Okay. Oh, hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Have a seat. So some food for thought on today.
Well, my food for thought is you should go first because I really don't know that I can do without.
Well, see, I already had my one piece so far. So,
know.
Mark, you want some sushi? No, thank you. I'm good. He is not the sushi fan. That's
Not
his
as
food for
much.
thought. His biggest food for thought is I hate sushi. But you shouldn't even be part of this this show. But my food for thought is that was a lot more fun than I actually thought it would be. I mean, come on. I mean, you have to admit, if you say
It's a
you
little
shoot
different,
cemeteries, right? What are
Right.
people thinking?
Yeah, it's
You're
a
some
little
kind of
different.
creepy dude. Now,
sure, yeah.
I've known you all my life. Or I've known you all your life.
Right. Yes.
But definitely, people would say it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, a little bit until they really realize what.
But I thought a lot of stuff that Mark was creating today was just artwork. I mean, it was really nice.
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't so much as like, what was the word you just used? You just said, it was
Creepy.
creepy. No, no. What blew me away is that there was stuff to learn. There's so much where people would go, oh yeah, I can go take pictures of cemetery. Thought we could, but we learned today that there really is ways to do it well.
Well, and here's the other thing too. This, right? I mean, we are constantly showing people how to take pictures on, DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, but Mark uses his iPhone and creates magic with the iPhone. And that's, I think, my biggest takeaway from today is just, I look at his Instagram feed and get kind of blown away. You even had a picture of an old church, like
Right.
reflecting in sunglasses. I
Yeah.
mean, you create artwork
Right.
that people don't normally see from a cell phone. So
Right.
you do a great job at that. And it's definitely helped me to say, okay, this is definitely a great phone to use
Yeah.
when I don't have my other camera around. Even when I do have my other camera around, it's still a great phone to use.
Or a great camera to use.
So what I said?
You said a great phone to
Okay.
use.
But it's
It could be a great camera to use too. So.
Hello.
Yeah, no. So it's actually, I agree. It's challenging me to use my phone more often. So there's great stuff to do.
And I know you probably don't have any more, food for thought because you've got. Oh, you already ate your piece.
I already ate my piece. I'm looking at. There's a piece right there that has my name.
So
on it.
fun show, but definitely we hope you catch us again.
Yeah, and there's no reason
I'm at a
that
loss
they
for
can't
words
go out
today.
there and
No.
do it themselves because everybody lives within 40 miles of a cemetery. But you do know that you can't be buried in a cemetery if you live within 40 miles.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, you know why? Because you got to be dead.
Funny stuff.
That kills me.
But as always, we ask that you like and subscribe to this channel, the Panoptic Chopstick Show. You can actually go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell. What happens when you hit the bell?
Oh, you're going to be notified anytime we post something new, which is every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday and in between too.
That's right.
So anyways, thanks again for joining us on this unique Panoptic Chopstick Show today. Thanks, Mark, for coming out.
You're welcome.
And join us next week, and we'll have more exciting photography adventures for you.
All right.
Don't forget, say
sushi.
We want to welcome you to our YouTube channel. That's right, the Panoptic Chopstick channel, where we are bringing fun to photography.
Hey, we want to invite you each week to join us on Tuesday, where we put out a new episode of our Panoptic Chopsticks show, where we will give you tips, tricks, interviews with photographers, we'll give you DIY projects to do on your own, and maybe even inspire you a bit.
That's right, including always a little dash of fun. So we want to invite you to go ahead and subscribe and like our channel, where you will get notified every Tuesday of brand new episodes. But welcome to the Panoptic Chopsticks channel.
Come join the fun.